I don't know, I mean, you know, of course Boulder is very prominent and they have lots of businesses, but I don't know how a person like this or a staff person like this could, you know, we could benefit from somebody like this.
Right.
And then maybe even recreate maybe a position that's there already. You know, maybe it's a Maria. You know, maybe it's somebody else that runs papers, this, you know, gets everything done for this person. What I've been told is that our process is not very friendly and that it takes lots of different steps and signatures and you have to go here and you have to go there. We should have one person that does all the running for that person. So looking at the establishment of a business, from the time they call the city of Las Vegas to the time they open their doors, that's one thing that I'd like for this group to maybe look at and see how we can be better friends to the community and to the business community. The other vision I had is, how do we make Las Vegas business friendly? What is it that we need in Las Vegas to let the whole world know that we're open for business and that they're welcome to come and open a business here? The other vision I had for the group was, how can we attract business to our town? Again, do we look at incentives? Do we look at incentivizing? What is it that we can incentivize? Is it utility cost? Is it tax? Is it, you know, what have you? How do we get people here to open these businesses and how do we entice them to come to Las Vegas and open a business? The other thing I had was, this group would advise the city council on issues that affect the business community. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about filming, blocking streets, paving the roads, the snow removal, all those things that impact business. And what I want this group to do is come to council and say, look, this is what we need in the business community. Nancy Conolillo for years, this is just an example, she said, increase the business license fee by $10 a year. Buy 2 Bobcats. Clean the snow in the business community. All the way from Castaneda, all the way up Douglas, all the way up the plaza, the business, the streets, the sidewalks,
Right.
and the snow is removed. I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
So, I mean, whether it's feasible or not, and we
Right.
get into all this other stuff, but that was one idea that was floating around. You know, the other thing we need to look at, I think, as a group is our business fee, our business license fee is very low.
Right.
It's really low. What would happen?
You say how low? I have no idea.
It's 35.
$35 a year.
And if you go the late fee for a renewal,
Very
it's $45. And that's everything after March 15th.
And so, what would it look like if we increased that? And what would that money be used for? That's tangible to the business community. If I'm going to pay $10 more, $20 more on my business, what can that money go for? Is it better advertising maybe for businesses? Is it better marketing for the type of businesses that we have in our community? I don't know. But how many business licenses do we have?
There's
there's-
746 or
That's
47.
inside the city limits. We have probably over 1,000 if you go outside the city limits.
So,
And we just got 17 more in the last month.
how many did you say?
17 business
No,
licenses.
I know, but how many?
740
It's
something
like 746, I believe, in
in
the
the city.
limits.
You use the extra revenue to buy ads.
That's $7,000 we could generate. That could be ads, that could be, you know, special business promotions, you know, for
Right.
the business community. purchase ads, billboards, whatever it is, come shop with us, promote. And then the other thing that I had was, I put down the business liaison, just to throw that around.
Right.
What would it look like if this was a one-stop shop? You call one phone number and they take care of everything for you to open a business.
Right.
The other function of this group that the little bit of foresight that I have, that is, I'd really like some type of survey to go out to the business community. How can the city of Las Vegas be a better neighbor to the business community?
Right.
How can we make things better? How could we improve? How can we make it fun to do and business with the city of Las Vegas? I'd really like to see some kind of survey go out to the business community, regarding our responsiveness, or, whatever it is. Nothing major, not a 25-page questionnaire, 10 questions, that we could maybe bring back and attack each one, possibly.
Well, maybe in that survey, you could include the possible increase in the license, and what do they feel like that money could be used for?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You could do Survey Monkey and send out a link, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. As long as it's not too, as long as the questions are easy to answer.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I love Survey Monkey, because it's not too complicated, and,
right.
it's as easy as even a monkey can do it. That was really their slogan when they first started the company. They wanted to
Wow.
make things as easy as possible.
Yeah,
And so, an easy survey that can give us a lot of information.
right.
And then take each one of those maybe survey questions and do something with it.
Right.
But I want Las Vegas to be a business-friendly place.
Right.
And I want a process that fosters that type of sentiment.
Right.
I want to foster that behavior here at the city of Las Vegas. And how do we make that happen? The other thing is, if there are issues that are affecting the business community, I want you to be able to advise the council, get on the city council agenda and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is how this is affecting me,
Right.
or affecting our business community.
Right.
At once it was the movie companies and the parking in the streets and all that stuff. And then, so there are these issues that come up. Now it'll be the paving, of National Avenue onto a bridge and Plaza. That's going to be...
It's going to be challenging.
It's going to be challenging, but this is what I was telling the streets department, is if we meet with the business community every Monday morning,
Mhm.
They are, right?
and we have, we're going to, every Monday morning, and they go through this and just say, this is what we're doing today, this is what you'll see this week, this is what you'll see next week, keeping the business community informed, because there's nothing worse than being a business person and having to close your shop because you're not getting any customers and
Right.
whatever. So we want to fulfill our responsibility with making sure that the public knows that there's secondary parking, even if we have to lease a West Las Vegas parking lot, or, the Valencia parking lot, or whatever we have to do to get those businesses to keep open. And advertise that, by radio and TV ads saying, we're open for business. Just because we're paving, all these businesses are open. So that's one of the ideas that I have, that I think it will benefit the business community in times like this. But, so in a nutshell, that's what my vision was for this group. And so, I'm sure you can expand on some things. You can,
Right.
you can.
Yeah,
those-
and you're right, Mr. Mayor, when people don't know that a movie company And it's better now than what it was in the past, but when they're just gonna park a big truck in front of their flower shop, they get very angry. Same thing with construction, you know, we've gone through it, nobody likes big dump truck traveling through their front yard and dumping dirt, making dust and diesel and all this stuff, so it's very difficult to do that. And, but communicating, which I think that the city is doing an excellent job in communicating with the businesses now, you know, just by sending out flyers and getting on the radio and stuff like that. I think the community, or the business community, excuse me, to me seems calm, you know, they don't seem excited about it at this point. So, but it, you know, it's very disruptive, and those machines, you get a big jackhammer out there, you can't hardly stand it, so. But
Right.
what can you do? It's progress.
And what I wanted to see is, you're the people, I haven't opened a business, so I don't know what it's like to put in an application or to call and where things go and, you know, all that stuff. And,
Right.
And I heard a sort of a saying today, it's like lawmakers, you know, to make laws,
Mhm.
you don't want to know how it's made, it's like sausage.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
You don't want to know how it's made, they're just made, and then the
Right.
laws are in effect. But the process of which,
Yeah,
you know, it's a big,
yeah.
you know,
One of the,
and so,
Yeah.
so I've never applied for a business license. I don't know what it's like to do business with the city of Las Vegas. You do.
mhm. So the biggest part, the hardest part that I find, and I'm lucky because I know Ben and I know Maria and I know these people and I have their cell phones, I can call them, but, you know, if a person comes in and wants to buy a piece of property in the city limits or split a piece of property, it can be, it can take a long time, and that's because it has to go through, you know, through a zoning committee and which in all right it should. I don't know if they have those meetings quite enough or how often they're needed, or if even people are buying property now, but that's one of the things that I found was very time consuming to split a piece of property. I think on my parents' property, it took us about a year to split it. And it was pretty frustrating. I mean, I was patient because it wasn't that critical, but if I would have had a business, I would have not been so very patient, you know. That's, the other stuff to me seems to fall into place, like the business, like the building permits. It's easier to get a building permit in the city than it is in the county, actually, as long as you have the right documents, you know, and maybe part of that is educating people of what you really need to do. You know,
Well, what we don't want to do is tell them, well, this is what you need, and then
right,
throwing
and then
them
walk
out.
away from it.
You know, I'd much rather the city say, this is the checklist of everything that you need. On this check mark, there's, you know, everything we need, and we're going to help you to get this.
So are you thinking about hiring a person within the city government to be this person?
Maybe we have a person already.
Right.
Maybe there's a position that
Mhm.
can act as that.
Right.
I don't know, but if not, then, you know, I would hope that person would have enough work, you know, to keep them busy. I don't know if it's feasible, but I would love to see a business liaison
Right.
that would take care of everything, from the phone
Well,
calls
this-
to,
Right, and this would be a good person who would also then do the surveys. And
Outreach.
The outreach, the communication,
meeting with people.
right. Keep, you know, possibly being on the radio.
Sure.
Every week, or being on
Right.
our show for 5 minutes, or something like the Las Vegas First,
Yeah.
the IBA show. But anyway,
Going to the
it's
different business.
really just a matter of communication. I think that's where people get, when they're surprised by things. But it's not something a volunteer can do.
No,
Yeah.
no, and I would, you know, I would love for them to go to you know, your meeting and to your meeting and to everybody's meeting, and to go knock on Mr. Maestas' business and say, hey, I'm Joe Schmo, I'm the business liaison, how's everything going? You have any concerns, you know? That type of person, going to meetings, going to the radio station, meeting with the business community.
Well, you said there's 17 new businesses here in town? And
Yes.
so I don't know how many of them.
Well, there are new business licenses, yes.
So I don't know how many are for independent or chains or whatever.
None. They were all, except for T-Mobile, they were all small companies.
So the Starbucks?
It wasn't on there.
But when you have these discussions on the radio, because if anybody watches, listens to Facebook, you know, reads Facebook or whatever, the conversation that goes on is misleading. I mean, there's a lot of misleading information. It'd be really great if it was straightforward that, you know, you had this little bit on the radio where the city talks about what's going on, and one of it is, hey, we're getting a new Starbucks. This is who's bringing it in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no misinformation out there.
Exactly.
Michael?
So if you have to know what's going on with those people. So when I was walking around with the flyer for the construction meeting last week, I was in a new business on Bridge Street, and that person had had tons of trouble. And with getting their building license or getting their permit, and you know, they were just not, they're open, but it just took them longer and cost them more money because it took them longer. So it's like, if we don't know, maybe one of us, you know, you do a fake business and you walk through the system to see what works and what doesn't work, and who's friendly and who's not friendly, and if they're unreasonably not friendly, or if they're holding something up just to hold it up. Other people have, you know, good experiences. I mean, it's like, it needs to always be the same.
Absolutely.
And
Well-
maybe that, what you're talking about could be a person that already works for the city, that could be that person 10% or 20% of their time. I mean, one of the issues right now is that they want to move here and open a business, where are they going to live? Because we don't have any real estate per se. But,
Well, I think there's two parts to that. One, you know, and it goes back to the communication. So somehow we have to get the word out that, you know, if you're new in town, you need to come, and you're going to be starting a business, you need to come over here and talk to Joe Blow, right? What happens is, a lot of people come in town and don't do that, and they say, oh, I need to put a wall up in my business here because I want to put a bedroom in it, and they hire Joe, the carpenter, and he starts building it, and then somebody says, wait a minute, do you have a permit for this?
right.
No. Well, you know, where did that become a problem,
Right.
right? It came a problem because somebody that's working under the table in town knows he needs to get a permit, but doesn't get a permit, right?
Right.
And it starts a whole ball rolling. That's what happened in that situation. But anyway, so I don't know how we get that word out, though.
The business.
I knew exactly what you were talking
There were
about.
several.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's a problem, and, but I don't know how you know, that's a whole nother story, but.
Right, but they had a sheet that said, this is, here you go, this is a page, a one pager that said.
But
this-
they have to come in and ask for that, and they have to know that they can come here to do that, right? And so it starts with, I think, having somebody that knows that we have a new, let's just talk about businesses, a new business in town.
Right.
So normally, we know about that because they come and get a business license. Now, they may be building something in their store, and we may not know about that part of it. So I think we need to have somebody that goes to that new business and sits down and talks to them,
So,
Like
yeah,
the
so
chamber.
I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce. can
like
have
the
a
chamber
kid,
to do that, and, right.
Yeah.
a business kid at the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, you know, it just,
But I'm talking about the function of the city. The Chamber of Commerce is ceremonial. I'm sorry, but it's welcome, you know, what can we do to help you? Welcome to our community, ribbon cutting, you know,
Right.
please be a member type of thing.
Mhm.
Where ours is more nuts and bolts, mortar, brick type of permit, fire, safety, all that stuff.
right.
True.
Ours is way different than that, than a chamber would be. And so, I would just, what what my desire would be is to make it as efficient as possible for someone to open a business.
So if you have a welcome package for a
Right.
new business, and you just
And it's
go
on the
in
city
there,
website.
and it has that contact.
It wouldn't even be that complicated. You just had a one-pager saying, this is what you need to do, and this is the person, the name and department of the person. For instance, to get your CRS number, Jose Maria. You need the business permit, who you talk to there. If you want to build something in your business, this is who you need to talk to. And you could just have that at the reception.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine and dandy, but still, for that person to have to call all those numbers,
Right.
as opposed to calling one person and them doing the one-stop, sitting down with you, this,
Yes, that
you
would be
know,
better.
everything,
That would be better.
you know, I think that's something that I foresee. Now, that's up to you guys. I
Yes.
I have a preference, and I know what I'd like to see, but that's up to you. You're the team.
Right.
But that's basically what I wanted to see, is that I've always felt like the business community has been underrepresented in this town, and I wanted to make it more important, the business community more important. Then I also want to also discuss the fact that for the exception of Dollars Over the Bridge, or Hands Over the Bridge, or Bridge Christmas,
Cross
whatever.
the bridge.
You know, I think we need more promotions for shopping in town.
Right.
You know, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the campaigns look like, you know, but I'd be willing to shut down 2 Fridays before Christmas, you know, ask the whole community to shut down, county, state, all the offices,
Mhm.
so people could shop in town
Right.
on a Friday afternoon. All the stores open and have a big shopping event for Christmas. That's just an example.
Right.
You know, give people off a half a day and make them stay, close the roads, you know, make them stay in town and do this whole supporting this local business type of event.
Well-
And I think because of our proximity to Santa Fe, and it's so darn close that, you know, I know people who buy groceries there, who will, you know, take the drive to buy
Yeah.
groceries and other things. And so I sort of feel like, I don't think the public knows the power of spending $1 in our town.
COVID made them know, I mean, when we did Cash Mob, and they all shopped at the stores for Christmas, they knew, I mean, that was good, and people had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to go to Santa Fe to get our gifts, but that was the only year so far, right?
Right.
But if you can continue that somehow.
Sure.
Yeah.
The cash mob or whatever, but let me tell you, this town was amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, during COVID, I mean, they really rallied forth to support the local businesses
Big time.
and stay in town and do their shopping. I mean, granted, wasn't that much fun to shop in Santa Fe anyway.
Yeah.
But in some ways, people have gotten a little bit out of the habit of
They have
it.
real power. They spent $8,000 in Tito's store in a little over an hour. Or they
Right.
spent $6,000 at Unicam, or they
Yeah.
spent, wherever you name, they spent thousands of dollars.
So to be able to continue that kind of a
Right.
promotion is what you're saying.
Right.
Different kind of thinking outside the box, creating different promotions and everything.
Yeah, and you know, I know you have other stuff on the agenda, so and I have to leave a little bit early. I just wanted to give you that, my perception of what I was thinking this group should do, or ideas of what might, you know, this group do. And I really, really think that this would be a voice, a strong voice for the business
Yeah,
community.
I agree.
And get on a regular basis of advising the city council on issues, you know.
Right.
So it'd be really nice then, if you had somebody in mind, that they would be part of this business committee,
So David Romero, our
Okay.
city councilman,
okay?
I don't know what happened to him today, But he wanted to be on this committee. And so did, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my intention, is to have someone from the council on that committee, and then me, proxy or ad hoc. I would definitely like to come to more meetings.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and so, you know, but David for sure would take that spot, but.
Well, one of the things I think I'd like to suggest on the bylaws is maybe opening it up to people that don't necessarily have businesses here in town, but are associated, like Michael Perantu from Main Street, and Frank Erskines. So,
I had a college student who asked to be on this committee,
Oh, really?
a football player from Highlands.
Well,
He has a totally different perspective on business in this community. Of course, he wants to, you know, he's a big eater and wants to see,
Right.
he wants to see all these restaurants, but why not court?
right.
One business a month. You know, once we open our doors and say we're open for business, now we have to court these businesses to come here.
Right.
And so he was very interested in giving that perspective of a student or a consumer
right.
on what he could find and what he couldn't find here.
Right.
And so he still may want to do it. He may not have been contacted. Cameron Browning?
Not as far as the list that I have, no.
Okay. So I'll send you his name.
Okay.
But somebody like that, you know, or, you know, I'm not a business person, but I'm a friends of the Las Vegas First Business Alliance.
Right.
Right.
You know, I'm not a business person, but, you know, but definitely open it up and get those different perspectives rolling, you know.
I think when you have some of these larger chain businesses come to town, you're going to have a lot of different ideas and feelings about how it's going to impact the community. There's going to be people that want it, they love it, they want the Starbucks, and then there's going to be other people who are like, wait, what about these little coffee kiosks that are just starting and doing so well? How is it going to affect everything else? So I don't know who makes the decisions to, when these places come and apply to be here in town, who makes that decision?
You can't make a decision.
You can't make a decision.
You can't say you're allowed to or not.
Well, I know,
You know.
like when Walmart became a superstore, that was, I mean, they didn't really approach the business community to
I
find
mean,
out.
some
how they-
communities could zone, you know, there are places where Walmart can't go in because they zone that you can't have a building bigger than whatever. However they did that, they just can't say no.
Okay, well, so that's really good information, because it doesn't put the blame on anybody. It's just saying, hey, if this is zone business, this business wants to come here and it provides everything that we need, then that's it. That's, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and so you're talking about, you know, chains and so forth, and, you know, other businesses opening up, and the community, the way they would, you know, handle them. You know, it's already, I've heard so many comments about Starbucks, you know, well, what about Cafecito, you know, are you going to support Starbucks? I'm like, well, I'm not a big fan of paying $5 for a cup of coffee.
Right.
I never have been. I make it for 18 cents at home.
Right.
In the morning, you know what I mean? So, but there is that appeal,
And it does bring people off the highway.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
They look for a Starbucks and they go, hey, Las Vegas has one, and now they're
Yeah.
pulled into the community. So I mean,
Yeah.
so these are things that I think would be really good, like on a radio show or a
Sure.
segment with the city communicating, again, to have a liaison.
A
the other-
business liaison that would help everything. That person would be the one-stop person. One call to the business liaison, they run all the paperwork for you.
Right.
Then they call you and say, Mr. Montoya, I'm sorry, we need this permit from you, or we need this piece of paper. You don't have to come back and then go back somewhere and go forward.
It's like what
and
we
then-
hope to get from the DMV, but we don't always get.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then communicating with the business community, and going to your meetings, and going to the radio station,
Right.
and doing all this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
But that's.
Well, and another thing I think would be really important for a business liaison, I had a discussion with somebody from the movie industry, and I asked her, how did it go for them? And she goes, well, you know, we could lose some of these shows because of the conflict with the business community. And so I said, you know, they're getting, like, one of these shows is getting ready to leave, and it looks like they're going to do a second season. Well, they can either stay here and put money in town, which puts a lot of money in town, helps lodgers taxing in so many ways, but people don't understand that, the whole picture of it. Or they'll build a Bridge Street set in Albuquerque.
Right.
And so maybe this person from the city, now I don't know where Chuck is on this, and I think Chuck has been pretty good, and the movie people have been pretty good about letting people know where they're going to be and when.
Yeah.
But I think what would be really important is an exit strategy. So when they're done filming for the season or whatever, that somebody meets with somebody and says, okay, these are the really great things that happened, and these are the not so great things that can happen.
Tell us how we can improve.
And tell us how we can improve.
And-
And that's, again, communication with the business community, because they're more than welcome, I mean, they're more than willing to pay businesses for when they're losing sales.
Well,
But there needs to be an information, there needs to be a strategy, there needs to be,
we met with, and Bill was in on this, with one of the movie companies who said your fees are way too cheap.
right,
Really?
You know, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's saying your fees are way too cheap. And, you know, when I met with the governor, you know, the other day about the movie industry, she said, you need to move on this.
right,
This is huge.
exactly.
Open a hangar, buy a piece of property and build a hangar.
Right,
Build 2 hangars,
right,
one for staging and one for storage. That's all you need.
yeah.
She said they run out of, there's no space in New Mexico.
Well, they use the community center, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
There is absolutely no space in New Mexico, the governor said, nothing.
well, there's the old P&M building, it's huge.
Well, you know, when we talk about that, those are the ideas that I want to start generating with a group like this. You know, what are we going to bring? How are we going to improve business? How are we going to invite businesses to come to town? How do we let the state, the whole world know that we're open for business and that Las Vegas is the best place to do business? Friendly,
Right.
one stop, the best place to open up a business. How do we get that word out there?
Well, I know that you have a film committee. I don't know if they've met at all with Chuck. I mean, I know that I worked for quite a while, Michael and Elmo Baca.
I thought you did.
Yeah, we did for quite a while, looking at, this was before COVID, but looking at ways of being more inviting for the film companies to be here.
We
But
did a
that's
lot of research on places that had buildings, like Las Cruces.
Yeah.
They set up a film studio, and they have I think a staff of 4. But there's not as much interest in Las Cruces as there is up here.
Right.
You know, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah, and that's something that we definitely, I had no idea, but, so this Longmire movie, they have a Longmire reunion in some town in Wyoming, wherever the hell the movie,
Right.
Buffalo, Wyoming, and they draw thousands of people. Why can't we get them to do 1 or 2
Reunions here.
reunions in Las Vegas at the Plaza?
There are so many film ideas. Again, I don't
You
know
know-
if Chuck Griego, I don't know if Chuck is part of that, trying to get that going. I mean, there could be a whole, I mean, what am I trying to do?
Film, museum.
Well, film museum for sure, but then also some kind of app where people could go around town and it would, places would be identified. I mean, you make it really exciting. Then you utilize your billboards to attracting that and whatever. But that's a whole nother committee.
Easy Rider, you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
there's a
all
ton.
those
There's a
different
ton of
things.
them, yeah.
But I do have a question for Alan. Are you still there, Alan?
Yeah,
So I also heard that they're not filming down by Railroad anymore, that they recreated that set in Albuquerque. Do you know anything about that?
yeah, that was for a film called Midnight Texas. And that's exactly what happened. They built part of Railroad Avenue, including the Rollins Building and the corridor to Castaneda on a soundstage in Albuquerque.
And was there a reason why they did that rather than stay up here?
They didn't give any reasons.
Okay.
Maybe it was logistics, maybe it was cost, maybe it was reception and welcome.
Okay.
But I think the mayor is right, I think this committee's right. We need to do everything we can to make Las Vegas as welcoming as possible. And it's a huge benefit to our community, this filming. We have never had a larger film project than we have right now, and I think we have a real opportunity to build on that.
Right.
And, you know, even thanking them. I mean, they shouldn't just
Exactly.
leave.
Right.
I'd like to invite them to a city council meeting and say, you know, thank you, Outer Range,
Create an award.
for dropping, you know, $60 million in our economy or whatever they did. I mean, it's significant. It kept doors open, it kept hotels open,
Right.
restaurants. We should celebrate them. We should have a banner across Bridge Street that says, thank you, Outer Range.
Right.
See you next season.
Right. Because
Yeah.
we may lose them.
Absolutely.
Right.
But we need to know,
Right.
before we lose them,
Right.
what is it that we can do to keep you here for 6 years? We
Right.
want you here for 6 years.
So Michaela is supposed to get back to me. And if you have somebody from the city that you want to meet with her, I don't think it's this business group per se. I think it would be somebody, maybe even you and Chuck or something like that. If you
I
have
would
an
like
interest.
to meet with
But we
them.
have a film commission, which Chuck needs to call another meeting of.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
But I would like to meet with them as soon as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say
Um,
that because, like I say, they're really kind of on the verge.
I know.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about being here for 6 years.
Right.
Yes.
And so we need to, whatever it is, those little tweaks that we have, we need to work it out so that they could stay here.
Well, so what the business community also needs to be informed about is that, like, how much money is dropped into the town, but that goes into lodger's tax also, which helps to support our community. So it's a circular thing. But without that information, they're just looking at it like it's just a problem.
I was attacked on Facebook about that today, and then somebody came to see me about it. And it was about, you know, how much money did they really spend? Where did that money go? Was it just hotels and restaurants that got that money? Or was it, you know, how does the town benefit?
Electricians, plumbers, carpenters, lumber companies.
They were basically saying, prove it.
Oh.
Like, show us where the money is been spent. And that was local people asking that.
Right.
Long, you know, people.
I can give you a list of what it was back,
April, June,
yeah.
yeah.
Go
A while
to
back.
BTU, go to BTU and see how much.
Because they were like, they didn't spend the money at BTU, and I said, they did spend money, because I saw them at BTU, and they did spend money at the restaurants, and when they spend money at the restaurants, the waiters make money, everybody makes money, it's not.
There's an electrician that's getting paid very well.
Right.
There's electricians, plumbers, there's
I
all
love that
kinds
bill,
of.
so I could answer this person.
Yeah, I mean, the return is
People,
huge, you know, and if it is just the
So
restaurants
this
or
person's point was,
hotels.
what does it do to benefit the citizens of the town? And how come the money, there isn't some money that can go towards infrastructure, if they're here filming for a year or 6 years, you know, what are they giving back to the community to be allowed? Because it is this beautiful place that they're filming.
Well, so one of the things that we had talked about with our film group is one of the things they could give back is helping us create a film museum here.
Well, that's one. This
That would
person's at
be-
the parks.
And if
The
you,
other thing is, we can negotiate with these companies to put a tagline at the end of their credits. Please visit Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, that would be one of the things you might
And do a
request.
showing here of the show.
Absolutely,
Do the
premiere.
opening show, do a screening here in the park or something, or where the town also gets to.
Right.
I have to run.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Mayor.
thank you, Mayor.
I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
So you'll be back?
I'll be
I
back.
mean, hopefully we'll have more committee members here, and then maybe we'll create more committee members if there's people who don't feel like they can attend, but,
Yeah, we
yeah, it'd
had
be
a
great to have you
really
part of
good-
this group.
Absolutely, and I'll be sort of an ad hoc
Okay.
type of person, but
You'll
I'm
be
very
invited.
interested in seeing this group succeed.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Bueno, muchas gracias.
Thanks, Mayor.
Hasta luego. Bendiciones a todos.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So the other thing that we have on the agenda is, which I think is important for our committee to know, and again, we're very limited with who's here, but also, I think a presentation to the city council would be, again, and I know people have done it, would be to talk about what Main Street does that's different from Las Vegas First, that's different from Chamber.
Right.
In how they do these different things to promote Las
How many
Vegas.
people are on this committee?
There's like 9, I
Yeah,
think.
it's pretty
There's
big.
11.
I think we should
There's
come back and
supposed to be
present for those people, because
Yeah.
this is preaching to the converted.
Yeah, this is exactly, and I was wanting to preach to them too, so.
Yeah.
I was
11. And you would
disappointed.
hope then they would watch the film or whatever, but they're not going to do that, so.
Right.
You need to have
so-
some kind of pressure mechanism to get them.
Right.
Yeah, but we had
Drive out of the house.
good response, that, it was a good group of people last
Yeah.
last
It
meeting.
was.
Well, I know Nan Colio's, I guess, up in New York.
Yeah, she's gone.
She's gone.
I don't know where
and,
Sarah is.
Jacqueline had the death in the family, so.
But we did have a pretty wide range representative of the city, so it wasn't just Old Town and it wasn't just Main,
Right.
Main Street areas. It was also 7th Street Extension, so,
Right.
a different nice group of business owners. Go ahead, Jose?
I'd like to make a suggestion, Jane. Louis had a lot of great ideas or suggestions as to what purpose this group should serve. And I think we should maybe take a couple of them, and my thoughts are that survey for businesses and formulate it. We're throwing back and forth a lot of ideas, but just start forming that questionnaire, or whatever we may survey, that are good, that's going to go out to our businesses. And then the other one, I thought this person that would take care of young lady from here, from the city, could probably tell us what those steps are that people have to go through to start a business. And let's find out what they are, write them down, and see how easy it would be to get this one person to take care of all those steps. And let's move on instead of everybody theorizing. I think that would be an idea.
Well, just to give an example, on the business application itself, kind of takes you through that initial process. So, because it makes you have an appointment, let's say with the fire department to come out and to inspect your business, to make sure it's all set up properly and things like that. So it does have that built into the application itself. But, it'd be nice to have somebody to help you with the fire department, for instance, or the health department and all that. And those phone numbers are on there as well, so,
Let's look at
but,
that form and see how it can be revised, to make it easier.
Well,
Which
I
is,
think-
I think what he was suggesting.
Well, I think, yeah, but what Bill's saying is that he was talking about actually having a person that you would come and see, and they would help walk you through
Right.
and help make those phone calls.
Rather than
make
you
it
having to
happen,
do it,
Rather than
yeah.
like having a phone call into the fire marshal or whatever, and then waiting and waiting and waiting, or,
Why don't we pass that form around and see how we could revise it? Which makes it easier.
Or can it be the work of the committee? That if it's 9 people that are business people on the business committee, can you look at the form and sort of, because none of us have seen it, right? You haven't seen it.
well, it's online, but I can email the form to everyone on the committee and just put a note on there, how about looking at this, and here, actually, we'll put the notes in here from Louis, what he sees as a vision.
okay?
And
And it would be nice to get emails for Montana, for Michael and Frank and John too, so that we can keep them in the loop.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'll just do that for you.
And I
and
want
I
to just,
think I have Frank's email and all that, and I think I might have yours, because I know what Rogers has. Yeah, I have your phone number, your phone number, I might need. But I believe I have your email.
I have it. I
Okay.
have it if you need. Yeah.
One
Somebody has it.
couple comments.
Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
One on the survey, when the survey's developed, one of the questions that I think is important to ask is what services and, what services or resources are missing from your business standpoint. So for example, I don't know how many times we've seen people not knowing where to get a licensed electrician, plumber, or a licensed general contractor. Apparently it's challenging because it shows up all the time. Other services like, well, a survey can be an opportunity to find out where there are opportunities for other businesses to emerge. We've just lost the appliance repair George's on 12th Street, Lincoln. The building's being emptied out. I'm not sure whether he's still in business, but he's leaving the 12th Street space, so I don't know what's behind that. But as an example, if he was retiring that business, there's an enormous opportunity for somebody to pick up that business. Trying to get an idea of what are the businesses that are missing in town that we're going outside of town to fill. But one aspect in terms of building, the mayor talked about how to attract new businesses or develop business in the city. As an outsider coming in, and I've shared this probably too many times, but there's a very strong institutional background in the city in general in terms of one's business and entrepreneurial expertise. So that a lot of people approach a business, and I brought this up to Andrea at our last Las Vegas First meeting. She was commenting that she's never been so busy, she cannot keep up with the business she's got. And I made a comment, that's a great opportunity to hire and bring on a second person now and build the business. Andrea's response was, but I'm too busy to hire another person.
Newman Fashion said the same thing. He said he's too busy to do anything else. He doesn't want any more business.
So there is another need in terms of resources and support, and particularly when you're bringing in younger people or you're seeing opportunity.
Well,
there needs to be, or there's an opportunity to have an entrepreneurial center where those of us that have started businesses and built them and kind of know that process of funding and all of the other stuff, to have available as a resource to somebody that wants to build a business or figure out how do you expand when you've got something really going. That entrepreneurial growth is something that's a serious need in town because we've got individual proprietorships, but we have difficulty growing those into something more than just a one-person operation.
Well, we had the EN program for a long time that was supported through Los Alamos, and Andrea was the EN representative for this community, and we lost the funding for that. But that was her job, was pretty much directing people who wanted to start a business where they needed to go and lining them up with mentors or somebody like that.
Frank, also, the Small Business Development Center, and
At Luna.
yeah, I'm a little disappointed that and it's not Brianna, but I'm a little disappointed that they haven't reached out more to show people what they actually have to offer, because they do all that. And
Who does?
the small business,
Did you get her email today about that?
I didn't. But, she wants to reach out more and more. In fact, she wants to have a business expo. I think her hands are a little tied with, the person that she works for, unfortunately. But, you know, there's a big resource there, and you know, what I would like to see is people push, you know, their funding comes from the legislature, most of their funding, to push them a little bit more to get out into the community and actually do what they do best. And that would be pushing, because, you know, I think they answered directly to Luna's president, but their dollars do come from the state, and you know, we really need to focus on pushing them
Well,
a
they're
little
very
bit
good
more.
resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could be part of this committee.
Brianna could be on this committee.
Yeah,
Right,
on this-
and-
somebody
right.
from there could be on the committee. You know, another thing, that's another problem for the business community, and I'm sure Alan could speak to this, is hiring people. It's right now, especially the service industry is having a huge
Oh, it's bad.
problem
Yeah.
hiring people.
We have
I
about
know
500 jobs or something.
Sarah Jo's been having a hard time, you know, trying to get people. She's had to work very hard to accumulate a staff.
Teresa said she can't open Travelers because she only has one person working.
Right. So, I mean, boy, we want to grow, and then yet we can't hire, and I'm not sure what the disconnect is. Ellen, do you have any ideas? Are you still there?
Yeah, of course. I'm also on the State Hotel Association Board and work with the Restaurant Association Board, and every hospitality business is in the same position. It's not Las Vegas.
Right.
It's really a nationwide problem.
Right.
And we pretty much expect that that's going to continue to be the case until September or August at least, when extended unemployment benefits run out. I mean, at this point, if you can stay home and draw a good wage, you're probably going to stay home.
Right.
Well, I think the good thing that has come of it, though, is that people are in the hospitality business, are, you know, wages are going up for people. More money's being offered for more of a sustainable wage for people to be able to have that as, I don't know if you would call it a career,
Right.
but that's the kind of, in a way, that's the benefit that's come out of it. And then also working conditions, you know, so there's a little bit pros and cons there, but still, I mean, I agree with you. I think maybe August will make a difference.
Yes. You know that we had a job fair today. This is our second job fair that we've had this summer. And we had quite a bit of businesses there. I would say we had, I'm going to say 13, 14, something like that, but not a lot of, and we advertised a lot. I mean, we put it out there, and but not a big turnout of people coming looking for jobs, actually. So,
Maybe we need to do it again in August.
yeah,
September.
we were somewhat disappointed because of that. Although we did have fun doing it, we were disappointed at the amount of people that did not show up.
One of the things I put on at the start of the idea of having this committee, and Matt Martinez also mentioned it to me, you know, we've had in the past an economic development organization or person as well, who was doing the things everybody talked about, or should have been doing those things. I was doing that. But, so, I mean, that was another consideration of something I would like to see the committee kind of think about and make those recommendations, because, you know, one person saying it is not going to help, you know, not maybe get people or convince them that it needs to be done. And so I was thinking that, you know, if the committee, you know, through their own investigations or whatever, come up with a decision like that, because that fills some of those voids you were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, they
That's
can
true.
be a business liaison and so forth.
So
you know.
EDC, an EDC
Yeah.
person being supported through the city.
And a lot of the communities our size or larger have that function in there. And so, anyway, it's just something else that needs to be considered, I think, at some point. I think the city needs to consider it at some point.
So back to you, Jose, as far as which is really great about doing the surveys and stuff like that. In our committee, one of the things we could do, if, once we get a quorum or whatever, is then go to the city council and recommend that they reinstate like an EDC, an economic, because that's what that position would do then. They would be more of a liaison, and they would be more of developing business and, right, am I correct, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, it does cover some of the other bases. I mean,
And that's
So
what-
There's 17 businesses since when that opened?
that was last month, for the month of June.
That's a lot.
I know it. The month before that, it was only like 6.
So they, in a year would be.
Mhm. And another thing that was brought up, and this, talked to Ben about this, is that, so we're usually going to be the first person, or first people that are going to hear that a business is going to come in and build, because they have to get their plans approved, and they'll come in and talk to us, because maybe whatever their ideas are have to get approved before they even buy the property, i.e. like Starbucks. So they came to us with their idea, their plans, just see, can we put it on this piece of property? How do we get off the roads, in and out of it, and all this stuff? Even before they bought it, all that was going on. So one of the things that we didn't do with that, and this is going back to what the mayor talked about, is the right way to approach that is to have those people come in and sit down with the fire department, with the police department, with our public works, and all these different organizations that have to, at some point, touch their plans and their ideas and do it all at one time. So you're not going to one person and he makes a change, now you gotta go back to this other person. All that stuff gets done in one room. And so that's one of the services that we're looking into reinstituting, because it used to be there. And we just haven't been doing stuff like that. But that goes along with, taking somebody who comes into town and walking them through the whole process. And all that permitting and all that stuff is discussed all in that meeting. What you don't get is, again, if somebody comes into town and buys a building and nobody knows about it. I mean, the neighbors may know, but the people that really could help them don't. And how do we find those people before they go out and try to get something built without a permit, and next thing you know, they're in trouble? So that part I don't have an answer for yet.
So do we have any idea how much money Starbucks will bring into the economy, or the GRT or anything?
Well, the GRT part of it, I think it's going to be more related to how many people they pull off the road, right? And that's my expectation. A lot, the way most of these business, it's really tough for a city to go out, and we did this in Portales, to go on out and to a franchise and say, will you please come to our city? Come take a look at it. We got all this great stuff. And they go, well, wait a minute, we looked at your demographics, they don't fit our model, we're not coming. That's pretty much what you're gonna get, right? But a lot of businesses follow another business because they have the
already
same
did.
customers,
Right.
right?
Right.
So Starbucks may pull in something else,
It's like the Starbucks on Los Lunas. I mean, everybody gets off the freeway to go there, and it's crazy busy. And I would think ours would be a little bit like that.
Yeah, and so it could attract that's the way I'm looking at it. Having a Starbucks may bring in another business that's not associated with coffee, but they got the same clientele.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, a higher end burger joint, I don't know. It could be anything, but, and that's what you want. You want to be able to pull in some, but then at the end, a national chain only puts about 14% into your local economy.
Now, the building itself, going back to GRT, Michael, if that's probably a $1 million building, just a building part to construct it. So if they're paying, if they're paying gross receipts tax of the 8.3958, whatever it is, that's quite a bit of dollars initially that get put into the community. Buildings, big construction is big tax. It really is, including the schools when they do these big projects.
We should see how they spend money in the community too, though. Do they give money to charity? Do they give money to education? Do they give money?
Right.
I have no idea what their profile is in terms of giving.
Right.
Be interesting.
But, these are all probably like a franchise, I bet you, it's not, I don't think it's a corporate
I know the
store.
corporation gives
Yeah.
a lot of money.
But, I mean, that's individual owners. I mean,
Right.
Portales, for instance, had a really good relationship with the Walmart there. And they participated, they were members of the chamber, they pumped a lot of money into those type of organizations. I don't know how this one works here. They're probably all a little bit different.
I don't know if they give any big money, they give little.
Yeah. T-Mobile became a member about probably 6 months, a chamber member, and they gave us a sizable check. I don't remember what it was, but of course we had a grand opening for them, and
Right.
we offered them, of course, the Welcome Center to have their trainings and stuff, and so in that sense, some companies want to give. Comcast is another example. They want to do fiber optic in our city, and they became a member of the chamber. I think they want to put they were talking about spending like $9 million of infrastructure in Las Vegas. So those things, sometimes we don't see all of that.
Xfinity is doing all that right now.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think the main purpose of this meeting was to actually listen to, the nonprofits and see, what you guys needed, and actually when I say you guys, I mean we guys, what we're doing to deserve the dollars that the city is trusting in us, and it's hard to justify that unless you really sit down and you write down what you're doing for the community, which you guys do a lot. It's incredible.
It's like the Love Station. When they came, they gave a lot of money those first couple of years. We just applied again. They're not giving money. They gave you all the money. They gave you $2,500, I think.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that anymore. And so we need to go pressure them, because
Right.
they just make $1 zillion here. And I mean, I don't know what the town makes on them, but we need to go
Just
pressure
gross
them.
receipts,
Huh?
just the taxes, the gross receipts
Well,
taxes.
Yeah.
They need to give. They make so much.
Yeah, they have a.
Well, I'm sure it's swamped over there. I had never been there but recently,
Yeah.
but all I can say, it's underutilized as far as marketing for the rest of the town.
What is?
It's underutilized.
What is?
The Love's
Oh.
gas station, for all the people from out off the highway.
Right.
What can we do to draw them now into the rest of the town? They're off the highway.
We can put barricades,
Well, you know,
We just have to
or
keep
you
going
have-
down the
I was
road.
thinking of dynamiting the interstate bridge.
But brochures or something like that, or again, with,
Yeah.
Well, we don't go out, we don't have to be terrorists, but we don't go out as a group and sort of pressure them, and I think we should. Love's needs to give money. Walmart, if they used to do that in Portales, why aren't they doing some of that here? And what does Walmart give?
Right.
I mean, overall, what do they give at the end of the year to the town?
Right.
Right.
I mean, I do think, they're fixing.
I quote,
Whatever you guys need, can you guys go out to that door, someone up the front door?
Okay, great, thank you.
Just go out to there.
Thank you very much.
You guys walk
Right.
Well, there's not much we can do today, because again, we don't have a quorum, but I think it's a good meeting with ideas. And we don't want to just stay with ideas, we want to kind of go with action. But again, thank you guys for coming in.
We'll come back. and,
Come back
we'll-
again, we'll try to get,
Yeah, I think what we'll do is,
We play to a bigger house, so we
Well-
could.
Let's take Jose's idea and let's work on the survey. That should be the easy thing to get going, at least come up with a
My
bunch of
question is,
questions.
What's the biggest issue you have, or, just so they can answer that at the end. I mean,
So would that be something we would just throw around at the next
700
meeting?
We can do it over email maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
And I think,
Yeah.
Jane, even if I have to do it, to call people a day ahead helps out a
remind them.
bunch, yeah.
yeah,
So there's 746 businesses and 115 in their group.
Right. Because we're
So
independent
there's probably
businesses.
about,
Oh, yeah, you're in.
like, altogether, there's probably about like 1,000.
Because we're still.
Do what?
There's probably about 1,000 altogether.
businesses, yeah.
Not within the city limits, but that's
Jane,
whoever,
that's-
city limits and people that.
So we
come in
got,
and do
Yes.
a lot of them are
business.
like food trucks from the Fiestas and that type of thing. And people who come in and do business, like a contractor comes in, does business here, he's got to get a business license. So we'll get a lot of those.
All right, so is everybody okay about adjourning?
Yes.
Yes, okay, we're meeting adjourned. How was that?
That's good. I second that, Jane.
Okay.
Well, obviously, we probably need to start a little bit further out on reminding people on the meeting.
Yeah, and maybe, and I'll even volunteer to do it, is call people and say, hey, don't forget, we're having a meeting.
Yeah, we did.
REAGAN.
But we should talk about adding other people to the committee.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Especially if we're gonna have a,
So, you get 2/3 of my contract, so